All right, welcome back to the new SC podcast. We're talking team of the week. If you played Madden, you played NCAA, you know what this is. It's Ultimate Team. It's the best of the best. We're taking every position this week in the SEC, making the all-star team, essentially. Week 5 is in the books. We had some good games in the SEC. We had Ole Miss, LSU, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, taking care of business against Kentucky, Vanderbilt doing their thing. So let's start off with that game, the Vanderbilt game. We got our quarterback of the week, and we're starting with Diego Pavia. I understand it's Utah State. It's not Alabama against Georgia. You know, we can give some honorable mentions to Ty Simpson, to Trinidad Chambliss, but Diego Pavia, 6 touchdowns responsible for, 5 in the air, 1 on the ground, as they now get ready to play Alabama next week in Tuscaloosa. Big confidence builder, not like he really needed any more confidence going into the game next week. He took care of business, and we'll get to more of his teammates too that join him on this roster. Let us know if you was another quarterback that impressed you this week. I know there's some good play all around the SEC, but he gets our nod here for the best quarterback of the week. At the running back position, this was a tough one to pick from. We had a couple guys here that could have taken this back and forth between Fluff Bothwell from Mississippi State, but decided to go with Chauncey Bowens from Georgia. It doesn't matter if you win or lose your game. If you're one of the best players at that position this week, you're going to get a nod here, and Chauncey Bowens is that guy. If you watched the Georgia-Alabama game, you know that without him, there was really no Georgia offense. He was a critical part of it. He was responsible for over 1/3 of the first downs that Georgia had in this game, 117 yards, a touchdown. He was getting outside and breaking out big runs all game. Alabama was having a hard time containing it. So a big breakout game for him when a lot of the conversation going in was about Nate Frazier usage or Gunnar Stockton. He was the component that put them in positions to potentially win this game. Had they not gone for it on 4th down, kicked a field goal, game could have gone to overtime. You never know. We're going to do a recap of the week as well. So that's probably posted to the channel by the time this goes live. But Chauncey Bowens, the guy here, again, honorable mention to Fluff Bothwell. Mississippi State did lose to Tennessee, but he did what he needed to do. I believe he had 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards in that game. Looked impressive. Mississippi State's offense continuing to roll, putting up pretty solid numbers against the Tennessee team. So we'll see what happens with Mississippi State as the season goes on. Now we're moving on to pass catchers. We're doing them. We got 4 here, 3 receivers and a tight end, starting with Diego Pavia's main man. Aside from Eli Stowers, we have Junior Sherrill. He had 3 touchdowns in this game, 6 catches for 91 yards. Huge piece between him and Stowers of this past game for Vanderbilt that they've developed coming into this year. We have a wide receiver A&M, Casey Concepcion. Texas A&M did what they needed to do against Auburn in a game when points were extremely hard to come by. They only won by 6, 10-16. Casey Concepcion, another great outlet for Marcel Reed. They went to the portal this offseason, got 2 great guys in Concepcion and Craver for Marcel Reed. He had 7 catches for 113 yards. Marcel Reed continuing to become a proven passer, and these receivers are a big part of it. Finally, Tennessee receiver, you could pick one to put here. We put Chris Brazzell because of the touchdown. Mike Matthews also could have got a nod here to represent Tennessee. Chris Brazzell, 6 for 105 and a touchdown. Matthews had 6 for 118. No score. This was a high-scoring game. I think it was a 41-34. We'll put the score up here just off the top of my head, but great performances from him week over week. He gets a helmet sticker for being on our team of the week for multiple weeks. We saw what he did against Georgia in the first half. He's bringing it every week. Joey Aguilar, Chris Brazzell connection is through the roof. Finally, we got tight end Daquan Wright with Ole Miss. Big man rumbles a little bit. He had 4 for 66. He was responsible for 4 first downs in this game. When Trinidad Chambliss is now probably going forward going to be your guy no matter what, taking care of business against an LSU team, an LSU defense that was touted as being super stout. You have this guy here, Daquan Wright, great outlet for him. We know what the weapons are all around him with Kawan Lacey, with Trey Harrison. It's always good when you have a tight end who is a great pass catcher. Now we can move on to the O-line. It's a good segue into it. We do the O-line as one unit. What O-line unit did what they needed to do that week, protecting the quarterback, helping establish the running lanes. Ole Miss. Ole Miss did it against like I said, LSU defense that is stout. Teams have had a hard time scoring against them, whether it's Florida, whether it's Clemson. Now Ole Miss O-line kept Trinidad Chambliss clean. LSU got through a few times, no sacks in this game. They established really great running lanes for Kawan Lacey. It continues to help you build on a quarterback. I think week over week, when you have a guy back there that's establishing his rhythm, the fact that the O-line's been able to be a big part of that and a consistent factor as this Ole Miss team has developing their offense around Trinidad Chambliss. So now you look at it, that's our offensive team of the week, the best of the best players of the week, starting with Diego Pavia and moving through that lineup. We'll see who comes for week 6. We have a couple more good games. I think there's 6 SEC games next week. So we will be previewing those as well. Now let's move on to the defense. Defense was okay in some games this week, not so great in others, but we'll talk about it. And we'll start with Edric Hill at Alabama. 2 sacks. He was great on run stop. Most of the runs that Georgia had were ones that were banged outside. The interior D linemen were able to plug those holes. Edric Hill, a big component of that. You could shout out a lot of guys on Alabama's D line, whether it's Tim Keenan. You could shout out LT Overton with that shoestring tackle to stop the 4th down play. The D line for Alabama played well. They need to do a little bit more on the edge when it comes to these games coming up with running quarterbacks that can get outside. But shout out to Edric Hill for the Alabama D line. Beside him on the D line, we got Will Eccles getting a sticker on his helmet. We put him on here, I believe it was last week. Core part of an Ole Miss line that does great at run stopping in this game. We know that LSU's had struggles with that. So whether you want to give the knock to LSU or the credit to Ole Miss on being an effective run stopping team, Will Eccles always a core component of that Ole Miss D line in putting pressure on a quarterback, putting pressure on an offensive coordinator to call the right plays. On the edge, we had 2 guys for South Carolina that you could put here. They had a tag team tandem play off the edge. Dylan Stewart forced a fumble. Jataeus Gear picked it up, took it to the house for a score. South Carolina had 2 defensive touchdowns, I believe, in 3 plays. Jataeus Gear, good for him getting a score in this game. South Carolina is, I'm sure, thrilled with how this performance went, to be able to score multiple touchdowns on defense, to be able to score multiple touchdowns on offense. Things are starting to click a little bit. I know it's Kentucky, but as you start to ramp up, your play for the season, you got a lot of big games ahead of you at South Carolina. The defense is starting to click a little bit more. The offense is starting to click a little bit more. You got some guys out there that can play. So shout out to Jataeus Gear. On the other side, we got another guy who scored a touchdown. We got Joshua Josephs, Tennessee. Tennessee defense was spotty at points in this game. Mississippi State was able to do some things. Joshua Josephs was able to put some points on the board. Let's move to the linebackers. We'll recognize Alabama again here. We do have one more Alabama guy after this one. They did a great job at holding Georgia, so I wanted to give them some credit. But we got Deontay Lawson, Alabama. He was all over the place. Good run stop. You could put a number of guys here, whether it be Justin Jefferson, Deontay Lawson. They let some runs go outside. They had some good run stops, though, when it mattered, putting Georgia in punting situations often. Had a pass breakup as well. Tareen York, Texas A&M, he had a sack, 5 solo tackles. Auburn, we kind of clown their offense a little bit. You can see it all over the internet, talking down on what Auburn's offense is able to do. It's a mess, but it comes at the credit of great defenses making the right reads to stop the run, test the quarterback, pressure the O-line. Tareen York was all over the field in this game, making things happen, continuing to force Jackson Arnold to make the wrong decisions. I don't know what the decision was around the play calling and why Auburn wasn't running the ball. In this game, they had a lot more effective runs than they did as the quantity that they passed with Jackson Arnold. They should have probably settled into the run more, but you do have great guys on A&M who are able to stop that. Let's look at the safety position, the corners. We got the defensive back unit here. We are going to start with the safeties. Let's start with Bray Hubbard, Alabama, helmet sticker. Huge forced fumble in the Georgia red zone. I think they were on their 7 or 9 yard line. He got the ball out and set Alabama up for a field goal. That field goal could have been the difference in the game, in a 3-point game here. He was all over the field, big in the run stop. His effort can't be questioned like we saw in week 1. He's starting to settle in all over the field, high motor guy. I think week 1 for this Alabama team was a bit of a anomaly, not the norm for who this team is. So I think going forward, can't put that out of your mind. It's going to matter as we go through the season. But I think the team that we saw against Georgia is more the team that you're going to get from Alabama as the year goes on. Aside from him on safety, although LSU lost the game, we got to put AJ Halsey on here. 10 tackles. He had a huge forced fumble that ended up in the end zone that Whit Weeks jumped on. That would have been a surefire points for Ole Miss. Could have been a field goal, could have been a touchdown to blow this thing open even more. Huge forced fumble there. We've talked a lot about the LSU DBs and what they've been able to do this season. He's a big part of that. Give him some credit here. We got the rest of the DBs. Running through these quickly. We got Cameron Keys at Missouri, limited snaps, but played well. No completions thrown his way. Colton Hood, pick 6 off Blake Shapen. He's been a core part of this Tennessee defensive back room as they've had injuries that have kept some guys out. Big part of that whenever you can put points on the board in a defense in a one-score game that ended up going to overtime. Huge. Last guy here on the defense, we got Ricky Fletcher at Ole Miss. He was big in stopping LSU from utilizing their weapons, and they have plenty of them at the wide receiver position. He had 4 balls thrown his way, only 1 caught for 3 yards. Shout out to Ricky Fletcher. Shout out to the rest of these DBs and really the whole defensive team of the week that we've wrapped up here. So we'll take another quick look at them. Pop the offense up on the screen so you can take a look. Shout out to these guys. Look at the defense. If there's anyone that maybe we left off of the list that you think had a stellar performance this week, be sure to let us know. Like I said earlier, we're doing recaps of the week, and we're starting to preview week 6. We got some big games coming up to talk about. As always, like, follow, subscribe. Hitting the subscribe button helps the channel a lot as we continue to make content every week around SEC football. Don't miss out on the things we have coming. I'm Hunter Zeisman here with the new SEC podcast, and we'll catch you next time.